The pipe bomb is this game's equivalent to the monkey bomb. Both are loud and like to gaslight you into thinking you've thrown them.
Monkeys.
What happened to my monkey? All because neither one works, except in Left 4 Dead 2, there is some sort of consistency. The pipe bomb in Left 4 Dead 2 works when zombies aren't already on top of you. It's there to counter the boomer and the random hordes if you throw them at the right time. If you have AI add-ons, the pipe bomb becomes one of the best throwables for the AI to use. Open the safe house door, boom! The horde is gone in an instant. Pipe bombs can knock you back if you are close enough, and thankfully, it doesn't do that much friendly fire damage. Now you can't just be throwing this thing all freely. Throwing it too far will waste it because it'll explode before the zombies will get near it. The pipe bomb is horrible at infinite hordes since it doesn't last that long at all, only 6 seconds. And due to the fact that the pipe bomb only lasts for 6 seconds, it only works on open spaces. The zombie's pathing freaks out when you throw any type of zombie attracting throwable. When you do this in an awkward place, guess what happens? The zombies don't die from the explosion. Since the timer is short, they're going to be coming after your ass after those 6 seconds. On top of that, the zombies half the time don't even give a damn about the pipe bomb and hit you instead. So if the pipe bomb is thrown and there's zombies near you, they'll hit you instead of going to the pipe bomb. The pipe bomb can stagger the witch and sometimes make her straight up disappear. You can melee her during the stagger animation. I think as we go into the list, it's easy to say the pipe bomb is just trash, which it's not. It's just outclassed. Similar to the Bile Jar, the zombies can be confused when you throw the pipe bomb out of bounds. Without add-ons, the pipe bomb's only advantage is countering hordes when someone's boomed on, or distracting oncoming hordes that you already knew were coming for only a couple of seconds. The pipe bomb requires timing, and a little bit of game knowledge to be used correctly compared to the other throwables, and the fact that the Bile Jar exists is why it's considered nothing more than a throwaway throwable, A tier. Similar to most things, the Bile Jar has a lot of hidden tricks. For one, throwing it on any infected can stop common infected from attacking you. Versus the Bile Jar is literally the only throwable that could blind someone in versus. And Bile Jars can be plentiful too, since hazmat zombies drop them. And I suppose you could say that's the same for all throwables, since the stop that zombie exists. But those guys are way rarer than hazmat zombies. I guess that's why you rarely see both on custom maps, because the Bile Jar is that strong. Another reason why the Bile Jar is just straight up better than the pipe bomb is the timer on it. It lasts for almost 20 seconds. And on top of that, leaving the zombies alive gives you even more time, since when the timer runs out, they'll have to catch up to you rather than spawning in front of you like the pipe bomb, since the pipe bomb kills them. It can be used for trolling, since it can't spawn hordes by throwing it random, but honestly, that's about the only downside I could see to the Bile Jar, other than its rarity. The Bile Jar, while being active, won't negate the boomer's effect unless the Bile Jar has been inflicted on other infected. So the one thing the pipe bomb has beat by the Bile Jar is just thrown out the window by this fact. Bile Jar is just the best throwable. It's just the best. It grants 20 seconds of just no combos interfering with whatever you're doing. This makes fights easier, like tanks and witches and healing and to do anything in the game. Those 20 seconds are valuable because the common infected are a big deal on any difficulty and any game mode. The Bile Jar is so powerful that it could negate an entire panic event and crescendo event. Isn't that insane? It could even be thrown on your teammates. Sometimes this one throwable is the only way you could beat custom maps. It's just so overpowered at stopping hordes that most custom map creators purposely make sure it doesn't spawn. I kid you not, that's how powerful the Bile Jar is. This thing is S tier. Molotov is the Bile Jar's little brother. And there's some rivalry going on here, because both of these throwables are damn near on par. We all know the Molotov is the sole reason why the tank can't sleep at night. This applies to all game modes, whether versus or expert realism. This one throwable counters an entire tank horde like no other. And not only that, it has more uses than that. If the map design enables it, it can be used to kill entire hordes by throwing it on a choke point. It can be used as area denial, though it should be primarily used to kill tanks and witches. Remember that they could put themselves off of water, though it's pretty rare. If used incorrectly, the area denial the Molotov can provide can Uno reverse into you being denied. In expert realism, you can't crown witches, at least not in the traditional way. This is where the Molotov shines even more, since it's the most effective way of killing witches on expert realism, aside from the melee trick and, the occasional crowning if the witch is standing, though risky. It still is the most effective way to kill witches. It can be used as insurance when jumping through a point of no return. Everything goes south, you could throw down a Molotov at your feet as a last ditch effort. And most important of all, it's the best throwable when it comes to trolling. S tier. Yeah, it's S tier. Which is the better S tier out of the two? The Molotov, without a doubt, on higher difficulty has more uses than the Bile Jar. Like, if we were to list off each use the Molotov has, then the Molotov will probably have the edge. But I have to be the guy who says the Bile Jar wins this out. Now, I know what the comment section is going to try to waterboard me into thinking this isn't true. We're all familiar with the relief of the tank being on fire, that we forget that he could still pummel us. We forget that the witch lit on fire with a Molotov and easily outrun us. And yes, in most cases, both are extremely good. Both have really extremely good uses. Bile Jar doesn't really have drawbacks compared to the Molotov. The Molotov's plan B will damage you, and you could do the same thing with the Bile Jar and escape with full HP intact. Yes, we could go on and on about bad custom map design and the worst case scenario, but even the Molotov has its limits. If we really get down to it, the very core of both throwables, it comes down to the Bile Jar will always distract the common infected no matter how infinite it could get, while the Molotov requires a little space and time and skill to kill tanks. There still is a small margin for error. Bile Jar, unless you throw it out of bounds, will always do what it was intended to do no matter what. It's just a lot harder to mess up the Bile Jar than it is to mess up Molotov throw. That's why the Bile Jar is better. There's really only one downside, and that it could spawn hordes, while the Molotov can legitimately end your runs if used incorrect. The Bile Jar wins the top S tier spot. The Gascan is one of those items of when you see it and nothing is happening, you probably won't use it. When something is happening and it's nearby, you'll probably use it. Everything I've said about the Molotov basically applies to the Gascan, with the exceptions of like throwing it on the floor and using it as a last resort. It's a lot harder to pull that off with the Gascan than it is to pull it off Molotov. The good thing about Gascans is that it complements when you're holding out. The area denial part about the Molotov is made even easier by having the Gascan exactly where you want it in the first place. The biggest drawback with the Gascan is the fact that it makes you vulnerable anytime when you're holding it. But the good thing about it is that most of the time you won't be holding it, since it's already placed where you want it to be placed. Downsides are basically the same as the Molotov. It can be used for trolling, basically backfire on you. The Gascan is a situational version of the Molotov. It's definitely better than any other can here. It's earned its spot as B tier. What's there to say? This Gascan is ass. Why? Because it can be lit on fire by the spitter, and there's an achievement for it too. Other than that, whenever I see these Gascans in anything other than the main game, I start questioning my life choices. Custom maps have completely ruined these Gascans, since once they highlight, it means you're in for an unbalanced amount of ass whooping. F tier to direct downgrade. The Jerrycan can only appear in hard rain, and for good reason. It sucks. It's horrible. Puke green, and guess what? It's cosmetic, meaning you can't even use it. The only thing this thing is good for is F tier. This thing is horrible. It's just horrible. The only thing this thing has going for it is the fact that it could stumble the tank and the witch. Other than that, it has no other uses. If you're lucky, you might be able to kill a couple of common infected with this, and that's about it. This thing is F tier. Prior to the last stand update, this was hands down the worst throwable can in the game. Not only did it have a delay, but it also worked exactly like the Propane Tank. Now it works more like a pipe bomb, bumping this thing to a decent throwable. If it's around, it's worth shooting to kill a couple zombies and to distract the zombies. Is it worth carrying around like the gas can? I wouldn't say that, but it is worth using. The fact that it could kill a mini horde if the timing is right is why it's earned its spot as C tier. The adrenaline is a carry item. Yeah, it doesn't have the same temp health as the pills, but in return you get movement speed, resistance to any slow, fast interaction speeds, revive speeds. I mean, this thing is the QSS of this game. When everything goes wrong, this thing is the solution to every problem. It's an amplifier. It's a clutch play item. But is it better than pills? Pills in most cases will straight up outlast the adrenaline. The adrenaline is just too situational. It's good when you got a medkit on on you and could quickly heal or make a dash to the safe house, but it just doesn't last as long as the pills. And let's not forget about the fact that you can still go down with the little amount of health the adrenaline gives you. Even with the movement speed, you are still pretty vulnerable compared to the pills. The extra health is just too powerful to give up. S tier. I don't even need to explain why the medkit is just overpowered. Permanent HP, the sound effect when using it, duct tape that somehow magically heals all wounds. We shouldn't be asking what makes the medkit great. We should be asking what compares to the medkit. What, the defib? You wouldn't need a defib if you had the medkit. Pills have nothing on the medkit because the medkit gives you permanent health, while the pills gives you temporary. And the adrenaline, I mean, it's just outclassed again. Let's be honest. Don't need me to tell you why the medkit is the best item you can pick up. The defib is a weird item. It's definitely not a bad item, but the medkit is so powerful that it just completely blows the defib out of the water. In speedruns, the defib is a very valuable item, but in the normal game, it's unbelievable how situational it is. That goes for almost every alternate option to the original items. I mean, the defib sounds amazing on paper. A free revive, but you wouldn't need to have a revive if you had the HP there in the first place. Not only that, in versus you get a penalty for using the defib, as if it isn't bad enough. All in all, most players aren't speedrunners and exploiters, so yes, the defib is definitely strong, not strong enough to be better than the first 8. A tier. The white barrel is like that SFM show called White Lie. You know the part where she betrays Coach? That's how I feel. These barrels are a map creator's wet dream. The trolling on the placement of these are insane, and it's the only thing I see in custom maps. That being said, I believe this is one of the only explosives that the bots can actually shoot, and the bots love shooting this thing. As I said, they're pyromaniacs. This thing was made to troll. That's all it was there for. And yeah, it could be used for tanks, but that doesn't stop it from...
What are you watching? What? Was Jeffrey was laughing?
But that doesn't stop it from being D tier. Fire rounds are pretty amazing. They one-shot commons and they help kill special infected. The drawbacks is that the fire can be put out over time, and if you don't have negative LV on, you can't see a thing. On expert realism, these rounds are valuable because they one-shot common infected, but in any other game mode, they're alright. Since in most game modes and difficulties, you already one-shot these common infected. Since I only play on expert realism, I have a bias about these rounds. I love them, but I can't deny that it's pretty much pointless on other game modes since it blinds you and the fire doesn't last forever. C tier. Explosive rounds. There are two big drawbacks from explosive rounds: insane friendly fire and self-inflicted damage. And if you've never played on expert, then explosive rounds will give you a taste of what friendly fire damage is like on expert. Being said, explosive rounds are good at what they're supposed to do. They clear hordes and stagger special infected. The fact that this thing can stagger special infected makes this extremely valuable in versus, or really in any game mode. If you can avoid the drawbacks of this ammo tier, then it can be B tier. The ammo pile is the single most important item in the game. Without it, everything falls apart. Biggest drawback of the ammo pile is that it's rare. I rarely ever see it in custom maps, and the map creators know how good of an item it is, so you never see it. Another drawback I can think of that it can't refill tier 3 weapons, but I can't really think of anything else. You could say that ammo piles are important because you could run the deagles and the melees, but it'll take forever to get through a map like that, and the deagles are horrible at dealing with tanks, and the melees, I mean, you could try meleeing a tank, but it probably wouldn't work. S tier. Similar to the ammo pile, this thing is important. The other ammo pile had ammos of all types. This ammo pile looks to have only one type of ammo. And even if you were to say that the ammo type could be all ammo types in the tin can, that means that the survivors had to have individually gone through each little bullet to find out which ammo is the ammo that correlates with their gun. Pistol magazines. Pistols don't need ammo, they're infinite. Either which way, it's nonsense. C tier for nonsense, since sense sounds like sense. Basically a reskin of the Gascan. There's no difference between them, except maybe different size hitboxes. B tier. Coca-Cola es